how does loving yourself look like? Matthew 22:37-39 says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. I will start with a question and probably end with this question and hope that in between, you will have some time to reflect it. And the question is simple. Do you love yourself? And if you do, how does it look like? Jesus said and commanded us to love others, our neighbors, as ourselves. Jesus did not say, love others instead of loving yourself, but he commanded us to love others the way we love ourselves. So it was taken for granted. It was an assumption that we know how to love ourselves. And when we know how to love ourselves, then from that position of safety and confidence, and that position of, being secure in loving ourselves, then we shall be able to love other people. And so self-love is not even commanded by Jesus. It is assumed by him, and he commands us to love other people. Why? Because many times when you see God commanding us to do something, there is an implication. He knows that it's a bit difficult to do it. When he says, this is the command, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, he knows that a fallen human being like me it will take some effort and some intentionality to love God with everything. He knows the same way that a fallen human being like me and you, it will take an concerted effort to love our neighbor as ourselves. That's why he gives it the command. But self-love, he doesn't command us because he assumes that it is automatic. But then the reality is that we are fallen beings and we live in a fallen world. We have been raised in cultures and contexts which define self-love in different ways. We have been raised in families who have interacted with people who have shaped our thinking and our lives in different ways. So loving ourselves cannot be the same from one community to another, or from one person to another, and our understanding may be different. And that is why this morning I want us to go back to the Bible and look at what does loving ourselves look like. And then we will know how to love our neighbor. I just want to give you some illustrations. I think most of us, if not all of us here, have taken a flight. And always you hear these instructions in the beginning. In the event of the loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will fall from the overhead compartment. Put your own mask first before helping anyone else. Why? Usually they don't say why, but the reality is, if the pressure goes down and you don't put your oxygen mask first, the reality is that you may pass out and you may not be in a position to help others. This is something simple, and you may know, Pastor, why are you reminding this? But church and sermons are more about reminding ourselves, because sometimes we forget to put our oxygen masks first. We are busy helping others and helping the world. And in a short time, we find that we may actually lose our very self. And then the reality is we are not in a position to help others. Or we burn out within a short period trying to help somebody else nearby us, and then we forfeit the ability to be a blessing to many more other people in the future, because you deny yourself self-love, you kill yourself for one person, or for a family, or for two or three, for a few, and you deny many others the blessing that you could have been to them later because you didn't learn how to have your priorities right, how to love yourself first. If you look at on your screen, I have two pictures of here of a basketball. One of them is actually underinflated. And for those who have played basketball or those who have watched people playing basketball, you know, if the ball does not have enough air, is not inflated enough, it is useless. It can't perform its function. And on the other side, it's the opposite. If you put too much pressure into the ball, it will burst and it will equally be useless because it cannot perform its function. People cannot use it to play. And this is the balance I want us to share this morning about self-love. It is not about, you know, there are people who don't love themselves enough. They are like this underinflated basketball. And when you don't love yourself enough, then you are not functioning at your optimum and you're not so useful in loving others as Jesus commanded us. And the opposite is that there are people who love themselves too much. So they are put too much pressure into themselves and they burst. And all of us know them. You're going to look at a few signs. And when you love yourself too much, again, you are not useful to your neighbor because you can't love them because you burst out of you burst out of too much of loving yourself. And I just want us to look at a few signs of not loving ourselves enough. There are so many. This is not a therapy class. This is not a psychology class. I'm not a psychologist, but we learn, and God has given us a lot of knowledge. And if you need a full session, you can go to your counselor or to a professional. But this is common knowledge, and we apply it also to scripture. And it's good just to point out. So I'm just going to point out very quickly. But if you want details, you can read yourself, or you can go to an expert, or you can, pay for a session, or you can see your first leg, and you can go deep into this. But these are some of the signs that you don't love yourself enough. Number one is when you feel guilty and bad about taking time and money for yourself. If most of the time, even when you want to rest, you feel guilty. Oh, I am self-indulging myself. Or even when you want to use money to buy something nice for yourself, you feel like, oh, there are people in another part of the world, who don't afford even a meal. Why should I buy even a good phone? And if this is a continuous process in your life, this is your lifestyle, then somehow you don't love yourself enough. Another sign is that you tell yourself that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough. In the car, you always think that you're not good enough. If that is a continuous feeling and life, something that you carry in your life, then check your self-love. You're not confident in how you look. You're not confident on your face, about your body. You're not confident about your intellect. You always feel that you're not good enough. Number three, if you put everyone else first at the expense of your own needs and wants, then that can be a sign that you don't love yourself enough. And I want to qualify this. I don't mean that every time we should not put people, first. I just mean that if this is a continuous thing, that every time you put everyone else at the expense of even your own needs, then you don't love yourself enough. One old pastor gave me an advice as a young pastor. He told me, Paul, as you become a pastor, remember this. It's only Jesus who died for the church. So please don't die for the church. And I was wondering, why is he talking like this? We are supposed to give ourselves into everything to other people and deny ourselves. But over time, being a pastor now full-time for over 10 years and being part-time for more than that, I have learned that it's only Jesus who died for people. It's only Jesus who died for the church. Don't always put your other people first at the expense of your own needs. Another sign that you don't love yourself enough is that you compare yourself unfavorably to others. It's okay to compare yourself, and it's natural, because sometimes you get inspired, sometimes you get motivated, sometimes you have to kick yourself, because when you see what other people are doing who are have equal opportunities like you, sometimes you need to rise up and maybe shake yourself out of laxity or laziness, and so comparison is good. But when you find that always when you compare yourself with others, it's always the other people get favor than you. So you unfavorably compare yourself to others. So every time people are either smarter than you, they are better than you, every moment you are the one on the list. It doesn't matter where you're put, you always feel that you are the least in every aspect. Then maybe it's not about what you have or what you're able to do. It's not about the others. Probably it's something to do with your self-love. Number 5, this can be a sign when you need to know that what others decide before making your own decision. You're not secure in making your own decisions. You always rely on what other people say. And even when it's your own decision you need to make, you need to put your wants and your aspirations and your calling ahead. You will always want to hear, what does people say about this before I make this decision? It's good to ask for advice, and it's good to hear other perspectives. But those things are not supposed to make decisions for you. They're supposed to help you open your eyes and see the possibilities and options, but the decision should always be yours. But when you allow what other people's opinions to always influence your decisions, then something has to do with your self-love. Number 6, when you beat yourself up for the past failings, you never stop punishing yourself for what happened, for what you did in the past. Every time you're beating yourself over past mistakes and failings, maybe it's not about those things. Maybe people have done worse things than what you did. Maybe it has to do something deep inside you, to do something with self-love. Number 7 is when you are always critical of yourself. And this is connected to number 6. You only see your flaws and you always feel unworthy. You never, learn to take and appreciate and celebrate your achievements and even see what you do right. You always, most of the time, see what you do wrong. Even when you have scored 98 over 100, you always see the 2 that you missed. You don't see the 98. In other times, you always see the empty half of the glass and you never see the half full of the glass in your life. Then you need to go deep and ask yourself, do you really love yourself enough? Another one is when you find it very difficult to stand up for yourself. You're like a doormat. People walk on you, people take advantage of you. and you find it difficult to stand up on yourself. I was talking to a friend of mine this week, and the expression in that conversation was like, how was it? It was really a very good one. I wanted to use it here now I'm forgetting it. But it was like you, and if you are a Christian, you find like you're saying, you know, oh no, I leave it to the Lord. The Lord will take care of that. Even when you need to stand up for yourself, sometimes it's not that God will take care of that. It may be you are escaping reality by just throwing it to God or bringing God into the mix when you need to stand up for yourself. And if you find that you find it difficult, then you need to look at self-love. You know, I can give you an example. I had a friend that they will loan someone money. So people will come to them and ask, oh yeah, please, can you help me with this amount of money? You know, I want to use it and I'll return it, you know, within this given time. And sometimes it's a huge amount of money. And then that time comes, the person is not, you know, bringing back the money. But this friend of mine will find it difficult even to go and ask for the money. You say, no, you know, I will not ask. It's been, you know, 1 month, we agreed 2 weeks. Now it's 3 months, it's 4 months. And I said, please don't come here. Don't come back to me unless you've gotten that money. Go there and stand out for yourself, or I will go. You know, sometimes I used to tell the friend, okay, I will go and ask this money for you. No, don't. You know, maybe they will feel bad because they asked the money for me and they're like, why am I telling somebody else? Then I say, okay, then I've given you 1 week. Go there, send a message and ask for your money. No. You know, maybe I will look and it will look unfair that I'm asking for the money. And you wonder, oh my God. Something is wrong with self-love here, that you can't even stand for yourself, people, and quickly people learn you and they walk on you. They take advantage of you. Number 9 is you hide your feelings and thoughts so people don't know who the real you is. In meetings, you will never want to express who you are. You will not want to express your opinions and your thoughts, because deep in yourself, you want to hide who you are. Because, you know, when you express your feelings and your thoughts, then people know you. They know, hey, Paul gets angry very quickly, you know. And sometimes this feeling of hiding or being quiet or not trying not to be expressive, sometimes it may be hidden. It's not really your character. It may be hidden in something. Maybe it's a sign that you don't love yourself enough. And then lastly, you quit learning and improving yourself because you think, what is the use of it? That can be a big sign that you don't love yourself. And then the list can continue. And you know, these are human knowledge. So some of these things, you know, we can criticize them, we can add to them, we can subtract something from them. But these are just general statements. They may not be very precise, but if you look at them carefully and you find that most of them affect you, then you really need to go down and ask yourself, do you really love yourself? Do you love yourself enough? And then quickly, because of time, I'll go to the other side of the coin. Signs that you love yourself too much. Now you are this basketball that you know that has too much pressure and you burst. One of them is when you focus too much on yourself. You must be the focus. Even you are too obsessed about yourself. When you are in a meeting, you are this domineering, you know, person. Every story about there should be about you. When people try to say something, you are the one who comes in, you know, with your opinions. Or if your opinion is not the one that is making sense, you walk out of the meeting. Or even when you in natural conversation with your friends, you find that if we were to measure the whole conversation in 100, you will find that like 80% of the time was about you. What you are saying or what you want the people to talk to you. Sometimes it's people domineering by telling their stories throughout the conversation, or they pity themselves so that they are the focus of attention, you know, for the 90% of the time together. If you are that kind of yourself, then you love yourself too much. And this is not healthy. And another sign can be that someone who likes to make a lot of excuses. According to you, you can never do any wrong. You can never go wrong. So you make excuses of things that go wrong. You may blame them on the situation. You blame them on other people. You don't take blame on yourself, or you don't feel that you have contributed. You always have an excuse. If you are late, you never say, I'm sorry, I am late. You will be like, there was traffic, someone called me, something happened. If it was not the situation, I could have not made this. Even your past mistakes, even when you have done wrong, you will never own your mistakes. You always have an excuse. Then maybe you love yourself too much. Number 3, you can't get into long-term healthy relationships. This can be a self that you love yourself too much. Why? Because there's always drama around you. You always have something to complain about people. You are always easily upset. And so over time, you find yourself that you can't keep long-term healthy, and I mean healthy relationships, because everything centers around you. And if things are not going your way, you will always break from these relationships. Something may be something to do with your self-love. Maybe you love yourself too much. And then number 4 is if you have a sense of entitlement. A common sign of people who love themselves too much is a belief that they are superior to other people and they deserve special treatment. They believe that others should be obedient to their wishes and needs, and that the rules don't apply to them. They always feel that they are entitled. They should always be the ones who win an argument. They should be the ones who get, the better side of the bread. They're ones, that kind of, if you are that people owe you things, then maybe you love yourself too much and you know to tone down so that you can love your neighbors, you love yourself. And then number 5 is manipulative behavior. Another common sign of people who love themselves too much is that they have this controlling behavior. They will first try to please you and impress you, but eventually their own needs will always come first. When relating to other people, they will try to keep people at a certain distance in order to maintain control. They may even exploit other people, to get something for themselves. And if this is it, you always come first. You see people as a means to an end, and that end is actually yourself. How can they help me? They cannot be my friends if I'm not gaining from them. How much am I getting out of this relationship? If that is always what you're obsessed with, then chances are that you are loving yourself too much. And then lastly is arrogance. People who love themselves too much, they already, as I said, see themselves as superior to others, so they may become rude and abusive when they don't receive the treatment they think they deserve. While they hold themselves superior, they may speak or act rudely towards those who they think they are inferior. They have a sense of self-importance. They exaggerate their achievements and talents. They are preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, and brilliance. It's always them talking about how smart and great they are. And they have this belief that they are unique, and only people of high status or people who are at their level should associate with them. And they envy when other people, succeed, and they look for ways of bringing them down. They never rejoice when other people are going up, and they insist in having the best of everything every time. They feel that they deserve privileges and special treatment. And if this is the feeling, then you are on the other imbalanced side, that maybe you love yourself too much. What God is calling us to is to have a balanced love for ourselves.